The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Earnestly podcast coming to you on August 26, 2021. It is one of my two favorite podcasts of the year to record. It is my annual Earnestly Speaking NFL over-unders for the 2021 NFL season win totals. And of course, we do this every year annually with my boys, Zack Degenerate, of course, and Krizmanic. Fellas, how you guys doing?
Feeling like a degenerate.
Feeling like you that's just who you are, buddy. Come on now. Kris, what's up, bud?
Well, feeling good. This is going to be a fun year.
I'm really looking forward to this
way
year.
the NFL is things.
Oh no, dude, I'm looking forward to this year. I'm really psyched about this year. I cannot wait. Should we just dive right into it right now? Should we not wasting time? Because 32 teams and a lot of teams. It's funny. I'm looking through this list before we get started, and we'll probably mention the ones that we feel that way on. But I look at these numbers, these over numbers, and there's a lot of teams that are overvalued, man. Like, whoa, like that high? Well, we'll definitely crack into that in a second. Let's at the first team right now, Arizona Cardinals. The over-under number is 8.5 wins. This is one of the teams that look at the last couple of years that who on the ascent, and certainly the Cardinals. Kyler Murray's quarterback, and they're building the right way. I don't know. I went through the schedule, and I think they're going to go over 8.5 wins. I think this is the year. This is the year they crack the playoff bracket. Zack, want to go first?
Sure. I don't see him cracking a playoff, but I think the only thing that can hold this team back is the coach. I'm like you. I like the over, but just barely at finishing 9-8 on the season.
And by the way, for the record, folks, this is now a 17-game season. So getting used to the extra game. There's no more 500. It's either 9-8, 8-9 is mediocrity now in the NFL. There's no more 8-8s. I'm gonna miss that actually. I'm just gonna miss that.
Oh, I think a lot of teams and coaches are gonna miss saying, "I was 500. Why are you firing me?" when they're 8-9.
So you're going over too, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you look at their defense. They got a great pass rush. They got a nice defensive backfield. So you look at their weapons on offense, they should be able to crack 9 wins, but I think it's determined by the coach more than anything.
No Larry Fitz this year either, so far. He has said that he's not in the mood to come back. He could come back at some point, but right now he's not feeling it. Any chance he returns to the Cardinals?
No, but he'll return to Kansas City.
Oh my. Kris, what you got here?
So I love the additions they made. A lot of veterans. They decided that they have a nice youthful team, and they infused a bunch of vets at different positions to kind of get these guys on the right path and take the next step. So I love the direction they're going in. Their schedule, they have some pretty tough road games, minus Jacksonville, but 4 out of their first 6 games are on the road. But their schedule lightens up so much in the back end that you can definitely see them really killing it down the stretch. You're ending with after the Week 12 bye week, you got Bears, Lions, Cowboys. Right off the bat, all those are wins.
Yeah, that's their saving grace.
Mm-hmm.
That division's going to beat themselves up so much. That's the only issue with being bullish on their win total is just that division is really rough. But one of those teams, if San Fran starts off rough and they just throw Trey Lance in, then that division gets, pretty easier. But if all 4 teams are just in contention, that's going to be a brutal division. And you're going to see a lot of cannibalism in there. But
yeah.
I see them going over. They're definitely ascending in the right direction. And their free agent moves are based on getting more leadership into the locker room. And, these guys still aren't, I won't say they're in their prime. They're not in their twilight. I wouldn't say J.J. Watson's twilight. I wouldn't say, A.J. Green's in their twilight. They're just about to get there, but they still have plenty of good years in front of them.
I would say
And
AJ
even
Green's hamstrings are in the twilight.
It's been the twilight.
and I would say, like, even a small upgrade, like going from Zane Gonzalez, that was pretty inconsistent, to getting Matt Prater, it's a big deal, you know?
I was gonna wait to the end of the show to say this because San Francisco is the second last team on the list to talk about, or close to the last team to talk about. But I think I'll say it now. My bold prediction of the year is going to be the fact that I already said this on a previous podcast a couple weeks ago. My bold prediction for 2021 is that I think all 4 teams in the NFC West are going to the playoffs. When you have 7 teams. And now you take it per conference. Now you look at the NFC, like who your locks. Your locks in NFC East. One of those teams going to get in, not second team. In the NFC North, Green Bay is probably going to be a lot most likely. In the NFC South, you're looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now maybe Minnesota cracks a bubble there. Maybe either New Orleans is improved, or maybe Atlanta. But to me, all 4 teams in the West are at least better than the second best team in the other divisions in that conference. So I'm going to spoil that right real quick. It's a hot take because the thing is that Kris is right. These teams could cannibalize themselves too. They could, but I also think that those other teams in the other divisions outside the teams that's mentioned are good enough, honestly, to even crack more than 8-9 wins. So that's me. Anyway, by the way, last year the Cardinals went 8-8 for the record, so they're on the ascent. So if you're saying they're ascending, then it's at least 9, 10, 10-7. At least it should be at. All right, next team here is the Atlanta Falcons. They were last year. They were 4-12. Fired their coach. Their over/under this year is 7.5 wins. A team that it's hard to figure out from year to year, man. Honestly, it's a guy Matt Ryan who's still fairly decent. Middle of the road quarterback. Went to the schedule, and I don't know. They drafted Kyle Pitts, who could be a nice weapon for the Falcons offense. They lost Julio Jones. For some reason, I don't know why I do this every year with the Falcons, man. I tend to believe them more than your own fans do. I'm going to go over 7.5 wins. There'll be at least 8 wins this year. What do you think, Zack?
You are insane. Insane.
8-9. Is that 8-9? Okay? Is 8-9 allowed?
Man, I will buy you lunch if they win more than 5 games.
Hey, do I pick the place to eat at?
Sure, because you won't be there. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I still owe you like a couple years ago for the bet for the Heat.
You owe me so many.
Yeah, I'll get you back. I promise, bro.
Yeah, you'll have to carry. You'll be the caterer at my funeral. That's how you'll pay for that.
So under, huh?
Under by so much, it's not even funny.
Oof.
You know how you were talking about teams are getting. The lines were a little high for teams. This is one of them. They have one weapon on offense to me, and that's Calvin Ridley. Everyone can tell me everything they want to tell me about Pitts, but you know what? They say the same thing about Trevor Lawrence as a quarterback, and he has not looked more than mediocre in the preseason. So I'm going to hold off on thinking Kyle Pitts is a difference maker. And that leaves you with just one offensive weapon and nothing on defense. If you hit 5 wins, it will knock me down in shock.
Kris, where you at this one, man?
The only thing you could say going for them is that early on in their schedule, they play like the whole NFC East, which, besides week 2, they play in Tampa, but when you start with, like, the Eagles, Giants, and, like, Washington Reds or Washington football team, and then go into the Jets
I have the same problem
before your bye week, like, you never know. Like, you just beat up on those shitty teams, and you're looking at 4-1 going into your bye week. Now, granted, it gets a lot harder from there on out, but with confidence, you never know. I have no faith in them, but you got to just think like Matt Ryan could do some things, and they get this like rhythm going. When you have a soft schedule early on and you can build confidence, the one thing I will say that is looking forward to them is that Arthur Smith was able to bring Dean Pease with them, so they have that connection already where you have a new head coach who was offense coordinator and brought the defensive coordinator he was used to working with. with him. So that coach job was big time for them. So to have that like continuity between those two guys together, you never know. I'm not bullish on them. Like 7 wins would be good for them. So I don't think they're going over 7, but it wouldn't shock me if they did. Only because of the way their schedule lines up and
Well, it's not 7. It's 7.5.
They can build momentum.
Is that damn half
7.5? That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm going under because I think 7 is.
Ooh, okay. So
Ernest, did you notice he's already taken a shot against the NFC East?
Yeah, he is. But that's the thing, though. But he's right, though. Like, so hypothetically, the Falcons go 3-1 against the NFC East at least, at worst, 3-1. You don't think they could pick one game off against the Saints?
They will be lucky to go 2-2.
Okay,
right, maybe they pick up a Giants.
You might be right. I'm just saying, though, for my prediction to play out the way it should be, they got to go 3-1 against the NFC East. Pick one game against the Saints. Probably sweep the Carolina Panthers. That gets you, 6 wins right there.
Careful now on Carolina, man.
They're weird. That's one of the weirdo teams this year, apparently, too, in the NFC, which I believe is the next team on the list, right? No. We'll come up with that soon.
No.
Okay, next team here. Baltimore Ravens. Over-under is 10.5 wins. Last year, they were, I believe, 10-6. Were they 10-6 last year?
Yeah.
No, 11-5 last year. 11-5.
They did not exceed my prediction last year.
I told you. Did I tell you last year, though, Zach, that they would be a better team while actually not showing so on record by virtue of record, but they'd be a better team, more dangerous team along the radar. And they won a playoff game against Tennessee. They got the revenge against Tennessee last year in the first round. Lamar Jackson, this is what, year 3 or 4? This is year 4, right?
4.
Year 4.
Yep.
No extension yet. Working on an extension, but I don't know.
He doesn't need the extension. He's going to go the Dak Prescott way and make $500 million. It's okay.
Yeah, he's really good though, man. But where are we on Lamar Jackson though, guys? Where are we? We believe this guy can have at least a 10, 12-year career as a quality quarterback beyond just like right now?
Yeah, I would say he still has at least 10 more years. I tell you what, I would trade next year's first round, the year after that first round, the year after that, and the year after that. I get 4 straight first-round picks for that quarterback.
Okay. Anyway, I'm going under on 10.5. They're still a playoff team. They'll be 10-6. Well, 10-7, should I say. I think they'll be just like last year. They'll be a solid team. They'll probably catch fire late and be dangerous in the playoffs. But I think they're more close to a 10-7 team than anything else. Zach?
Well, real quick, when you look at their schedule, even their toughest opponents, they play at home. Their first 10 weeks of the season, it's 7-3 at worst. Probably 8-2. They lose the Kansas City game, and then maybe they lose the Charger game. But through the first 10 weeks of the season, they should be 7-3, 8-2, no matter what. And then when you get to finish off against like Cincy, the Rams will be tough, yes. And then at home at Pittsburgh, by the time Pittsburgh's done, they're going to be a joke at the end of the season like they were last year.
That's a fairly decent point. I think what I'm banking on is the improvement of the Cleveland Browns. Pittsburgh probably surprising folks because they're kind of under the radar now. And since he's slightly improving this year, we'll get to them in a second. But I think they're still a playoff team. I just think there's a lot more challenges because of where they play at. That's all.
Yeah, you keep dropping their win total. You keep saying they're a playoff team.
Oh, well, we'll see what happens. Kris, where you at?
Yeah.
I think I see them winning at least 11 games. Not too many moves. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but good continuity with the team. I think week 2, hosting Kansas City will be the biggest game, obviously, of the entire, even with how competitive that division is and the rivalries in that division.
Mm-hmm.
That week 2 game will pretty much establish. I mean, if KC comes to their house and blows the doors off of them, and you see no progress from Lamar, it's going to be real there for that team. But if they're at least competitive and it's a fun game and Lamar's slinging it with Mahomes, then all of a sudden you have those Super Bowl aspirations. I think everyone thinks right now, at the end of the day, everyone just thinks of the Ravens as a regular season team who's going to dominate in the regular season with that run game. And then I don't know why teams can figure him out in the playoffs, but they cannot figure him out in the regular season. Maybe they can't allocate that time and effort, but they have this hurdle that they can't get past. And I don't think anyone's going to care about them until they hit the playoffs. I mean, obviously, if you see Lamar coming back in games, something that he hasn't really done, then you'll see that next step. Because, I mean, they're a very front-running team, you know. They get ahead, they just pound the ball, chew the clock, and that's it. Game's over. But, I mean, if you see that light coming from Lamar, they're coming back, and things are looking good, then everything changes. But, yeah. I mean,
you talk about players and teams under most pressure of the year. Like, if I give you top 5, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are definitely probably in the top 3 of teams and players under most pressure this year.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think it all comes down. No, I think the regular season means nothing.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, this means something because if they don't get in the playoffs, that's a problem. It does mean something because they have to get in the playoffs first.
Yeah, I think that's a lot.
Right. All right, next team here, the Buffalo Bills. Last year went 13-3. Their over/under is 10.5 wins. They of course, played in the AFC Championship game last year against Kansas City. This team could have the best record in the league, maybe in the AFC at least, but definitely in the league probably. I'm going to go over on this one. This team looks like it's primed to be a Super Bowl team, not just like a contender. Actually, I think they're the biggest threat right now to Kansas City in the AFC. So I'm going over, obviously, on the Bills. Zach?
I'm with you on the over, but one, I don't see them as a top contender as far as a Super Bowl team.
Okay.
Super Bowl contender. I also don't see them winning their division.
Whoa!
Yes. Now, I like their schedule, and as far as how it lines up, I love the back end of their season schedule. So, yeah, I'm going to go with you on the over, but I'm not hyping them, and I'm certainly not on that train like you are.
Hashtag Bills Mafia. They're going to get you, Zach.
Everyone else is out to get me. It wouldn't be a shock.
Yeah, that's true. Kris, we have the Bills this year.
I have them under. I'm way bearish compared to you guys. All their tough games are on the road this year. They're at Kansas City, at Tennessee. They're at New Orleans, at Tampa Bay. Like, I can see all those games of them losing. I think the AFC East is significantly better. I think Tua and Miami are way better than they were last year. I think Cam looks healthy, and the Pats are going to be way better. Their whole team was on COVID, last year, opting out.
But they got to pass, definitely.
I really think they're going to be that good this year. I could see their win total being weighted. They could still win that division, but I that could be at like 9-8, really. I mean, I just
Kris,
don't see
you're almost making me want to switch from 11 wins to 10 wins.
Well, your rhetoric is almost like Kris said. You think there'd be a really good regular season team, but then the playoffs they'll flame out. Zach,
no,
that's what you made it sound.
Well, I'm with it's not that. I'm with Kris. You can, when you look at their schedule, you can identify specific losses right off the bat, and it's like he said, they're all of their tough games against good opponents, they're on the road. And then you think about maybe a 50-50 split with Miami, and now you're almost at the line right there. No mistakes.
The only thing I like about the Bills is that they are able to retain their whole coaching staff, and they weren't, poached because their season. Sometimes you lose a, coordinator here or there. So the fact that they have the continuity there is really important.
Kind of important.
But I don't game-breaking moves that they made in the offseason that would make me feel like. And to me, like, Josh Allen took that next step. Doesn't mean he's going to take another step forward. He doesn't mean he has to take another exponential step. He went from mediocre to very good. But if he's just very good again, the whole division becoming. I mean,
they can do that.
I just don't see.
The thing is, you see them losing like 3 or 4 more games than last year. I mean, I can see them going 11-6. That's still the over. That's still pretty much good enough. Maybe 12-5.
I losing pretty much every road game except for Jacksonville and the
Wow,
Jets. Like, I
okay.
can easily lose
By the way,
every single road game.
Bills Mafia, find Kris. He's somewhere in South Florida.
Like, they could lose week 2 at the Dolphins, week 5 at Kansas City, week 6 at Tennessee, and then going on the road week 12 at the Saints, then week 14 at the Bucks. Yeah, they could lose every single
They're going to hang
and
you.
then late in the year.
They're going to hang you, Kris.
New England.
They're going to fucking hang you, brother. I tell you.
They'll beat up on the low fruit, but I don't know. It's going to be a tough year for them.
Alrighty. The next team here, the Carolina Panthers, we just mentioned a while ago. Carolina Panthers last year were 5-11. This year, their over/under is 7.5 wins. Of course, Sam Darnold is their quarterback. A lot of people are talking about the Panthers being a kind of a sneaky, like, not necessarily a playoff team, but kind of like a spoiler.
I agree with that take because they've got great weapons. And if you are under the belief that Sam Darnold with the Jets had nothing, absolutely nothing to work with, and then you get 2 deep threats, one of the top 2 or 3 running backs in the game, you have to feel like Sam Darnold can do something. If he could win 3 games with the Jets, he should be able to win 6 or 7 games. And that's where I can see him getting that, but I'm still going to take the under.
Me too.
I'm not ready to give it to him, but I think they put up a fight in almost every game of the season.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. I think they could be sneaky, but you can still be sneaky and kind of like, whatever in that way and still be 7-10. So that's still under. So I'll get under too. Kris, what you got?
Matt Rule surprised me. I think this is the year where you see, like, Joe Brady, is he real deal as like a quarterback whisperer or not? Like, did he make, like Joe Burrow, if he takes Sam Darnold as a reclamation project and turns him into a franchise quarterback that he should be, top 3 overall pick, like, I have faith in them. Like, they made some moves to really reassure that offensive line. You always win the trenches. I like the way Matt Rule's building this team. And early on, their schedule is soft. They get, Jets, Cowboys, Texans right off the bat, and then they host New Orleans. I mean, the end of they don't play Tampa Bay till week 16, and they play them again week 18. So, like they could easily lose the last 4 games of the year. Easily. At Bills, Buccaneers, and at the Saints. But if they could build that momentum early on, they have a soft schedule. I mean, their first tough game is what? I mean, hosting the Vikings week 6, maybe. Then you get the Pats and Cardinals 9 and 10. Like, I feel like if the Carolina Panthers can make some moves, they definitely have a good season. Like, I have them at 8 wins.
Oh, you went over? Oh my God, Kris sold.
Wow. He loves those bold takes.
He does, bro. He's definitely one of those, like, trying to create an argument out of it. Yeah.
They're just doing the right thing there. Like, obviously, no one thought Matt Rule was going to come into the league and, like, tear it up because he doesn't have the clout of Urban Meyer or any of these other guys, but he's building the team the right. Dude, no other team had spent every single draft pick on defense for like 20 years. He came in all 7 rounds last year, all defensive picks. Right. And they're building in the trenches. They're doing the right things. When you have Christian McCaffrey and he's healthy, I mean, you lose Curtis Samuel, that's a little hit, but the rest of Robbie Anderson showed that he is a legit number 1 wide receiver. I like the team.
They got some pieces. I think I'm with you on that, but I just think you can be that team and still be 7-10. That's all. But we'll see how that goes. All right, next team here, Chicago Bears. Last year went 8-8. They were a playoff team last year. They played that wildcard game, I think, against New Orleans last year, right? I believe. 8-8 last year. The over-under number this year, that's a little lower. 7.5 wins. Andy Dalton is their quarterback right now for at least week 1. That's what we're hearing. And they, of course, drafted Justin Fields. Where are you guys real quick on Justin Fields? I haven't watched any of their games yet, but from the preseason,
I
what have you seen?
think Urban Meyer is already regretting not drafting him.
Oh, you think so?
He was the perfect guy for that system, and he went with Trevor Lawrence.
Oh.
And when you have a weak offensive line like Chicago does, you cannot have a guy who just stands there and takes a beating, because all that quarterback's going to do is throw the ball up to be intercepted. Having Justin Fields who can escape from the pocket is a monumental difference maker on a team like that. So if anyone's going to shine as a rookie quarterback, it should be him this year.
All right. Anyway, I did go under on some F wins. What'd you go, Zach?
Oh, I got to take the under too. I just can't buy that offensive line protecting anybody. And that defense, it can only go so far. And they lose a piece after piece every year. So 3 years ago when Mitch Trubisky was there and he could have maybe taken them to the playoffs, that's not the same defense that they are now.
Right.
Khalil Mack has barely showed up last year. What are you counting on? You're counting on hope and prayer, and that doesn't cover the spreads.
Right. Under 2, huh? All right, Kris, what you got for the Bears?
I'm under.
Under 2?
The one thing to look for at the Bears is their defense. They have a new defensive coordinator, and Matt Nagy is under the hot seat. That seat is so hot right now for Matt Nagy.
Would you say he's the most hottest seat in the league right now of all the coaches?
Oh, yeah.
It's up there. And then on top of that, he really botched that Andy Dalton, Justin Fields situation. I don't like how he's handling that at all. So that right in there, either you sign Andy Dalton, you tell him he's going to be a starter, and then all of a sudden, you promise him that, and then Justin Fields falls to your lap. And what a great move that was to go and get him, because he should have been a top 3 pick. He's that good. And to me, I just think that situation is going to cause a little turmoil in the locker room with an already, I don't want to say lame duck coach, but he's as close to it as it gets. And you have a new defensive coordinator. There's enough movement there on the roster that I just don't like the moves they made, and I just don't see them. Another thing I don't like with their schedule is they kind of alternate tough games. They don't have a soft part of their schedule.
Oh,
you might have a week where you're like, okay, week 2 we're hosting Cincinnati. Okay, that might be a win, but it's like you start off at the Rams, then week 3 at the Browns, and then it's just their schedule's tough. There's not one part of the schedule okay, it's like at Tampa Bay week 7, then hosting San Francisco 49ers, and at Pittsburgh. They just get brutalized. You're coming right off your bye week, and then you're hosting the Ravens. Their schedule sucks. There's just not there's not a part in the schedule where they're reeling off 3 shitty teams. So when you can't build that momentum and your coaching staff's under fire like that, I just don't see them having a good year. It's going to be a dysfunctional year. You're going to see a big staff change, and then you hope and pray you build around Justin Fields for the future going forward. But this is not the year the Bears are going to do good.
Speaking of which,
you don't even pay. You don't pay Allen Robinson. Don't franchise a guy like that and then not pay him. So I just don't like the moves they made.
Speaking of which,
here's a question.
Go ahead, quick.
Do you guys even think Matt Nagy makes it long enough to replace Andy Dalton? Or do you think he gets replaced so fast early in the season that the replacement coach is forced to put Justin Fields in?
No, he'll make the entire year. I think if he gets fired, he'll get fired at the end of the year. I think he's made 2 playoffs twice in his 3 years there. So I mean, he has some sort of at least some success there, some degree, So I think they'll give him the entire year. The only way I can see him getting fired early is if they go up the gate 0-7, 0-6 on that. Quick question. Zach, not Zach. Kris, answer the question quick for Zach.
Yeah.
You think he makes it through the year?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Wow.
Quick question.
You guys are optimists.
Yeah, but again, he's been in 3 years, okay, right? And he's played twice.
Yeah.
He at least gets the respect of that. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean he won't get fired. I just think he'll get the opportunity to coach the entire year to do it, unless they fucking crater in the first 8 weeks.
Also, the thing to me is there's no one on the staff to replace him. Like,
Right.
Bill Lazor's going into a second team. Like, they're not going to replace him with him. They just promoted their DB coach to to defensive coordinator. I don't think he's the guy. They just don't have anyone that you can like go back on and say, okay, you know what? I want him to fill in for the rest of the year.
Exactly.
I think he got enough release to make the whole year.
Quick answer, guys, before I go to the next team. When do we see Justin Fields on the field? What week? Prediction.
6.
Zach?
Week 4 against Detroit.
Actually, week 5. So yeah, week 5. So we're in the same boat for the most part. All right, next team here. This is Kris's team, the Bengals, Cincinnati Bengals, rather. Last year they were 4-11-1. This year their over/under is 6.5 wins. I think this team will be competitive. I think they'll be dangerous as long as Joe Burrow's healthy. But again, they play in arguably the hardest division in all football. So they are the seller team, obviously. So I'm going to go under, obviously, but I think they'll be a competitive. They'll be one of those like 5-12, 6-11 teams. That kind of like steal some wins here and there. Again, this is also with the assumption that Joe Burrow is healthy. But they're ascending a little slowly. And by the way, they were playing okay until he got hurt. They were actually pretty decent until he got hurt. So, but they're still about a year or two away. So under. Zach.
Yeah, I'm certainly taking the under because when you look at their schedule after week 8, it'll be a miracle if they win one game. The first half of the season, maybe they get a little bit of confidence. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase build a rapport. Hopefully, by that time he's in game shape and can play. But when you look at the back half, it's Cleveland, Vegas, Pittsburgh, Chargers, San Fran, Baltimore, Kansas City, Cleveland. I mean, there's not a win for them. So if they don't beat up on Chicago and Jacksonville and Detroit, man, it's going to be scary in the early part of the season for that team.
Kris, your boys.
So I'm going to refer to them as, in NBA terms, they're a league pass team. Like,
I like that.
A lot of shootouts, fun to watch, but the results will not be there. Like, they'll be entertaining games, but I don't think the wins are going to be there. But you will see the ascension. Like, you'll see the progress being made. Like, okay, they're a year away from being a year away. You can see the foundation. And, I hope that the coaching staff's able to get a chance to really gel and formulate with this young team. So I would love to see. But I just think it's a team that, Joe Burrow put a lot of empty stats. Not saying he's not good. I love him to death. I think he's the future. But,
yeah, I agree.
They prioritize a little weird and off. I'm a trenches guy. So, I mean, the defense will be fun. They have young playmakers all over the field at all different positions. Jesse Bates, absolute monster. Some of their young linebackers can step up. You never know, but to me, I just think they're gonna be in shootouts. I just think people are gonna score some points on them for sure. But they'll be a fun team to watch. Absolutely, they're not gonna just like get blown out of the water every week. They're gonna put up. If they're gonna lose, they're still gonna put up 20+ points a game.
They'll be
to me. That's how I feel.
They'll be the team they were last year for the first quarter of the year when they were competitive and winning some games before Burrow got hurt. That's what I see. So
absolutely.
Yeah. All right, next team here to stay in Ohio and stay also in the same division, the AFC North. We have the Cleveland Browns, who last year made the playoffs for the first time since George W. Bush was president, first term. They're over under. Well, they're 11-5 last year. The over under this year is 10. To me, it's about one guy at this point. And even with the one guy, this has to be good. He has to be great to be good. And that's Baker Mayfield. So the over is the obvious here. They have a great roster. It's a matter of putting it all together. with him, with Baker Mayfield. If he has a breakout year, in the same way Josh Allen did last year, this team could be the team that maybe is that propelled in that second tier. They can challenge Kansas City tier, if you will. But I like the over. 10 wins is a good number here, as long as Mayfield is not fucking crater. So, Zach.
Well, I'm with you on the over.
Yeah.
I mean, they are loaded. To start with, they have the actual best run game in football when you're just looking at running backs. When the quarterback is in part, they have the two best running backs on one team.
Yeah.
Then you look at their offensive line. Last year it was rated the number one offensive line in football, and they returned all 5 guys. You look at their pass rush. Stacked on both sides for the first time. Myles Garrett will actually have real help. I think this is a team you would load up on the over on a win total for the season.
Right.
But I don't think, if you're a Browns fan, I don't think there's any way you could ever expect a jump from where he's at now to the kind of jump that Josh Allen had with the Bills. For the simple fact, he's been better than Allen was his first 2 years. Allen only made a huge jump once he got a real wide receiver. So that kind of jump, I don't think you can see that happening.
Yeah.
But when you look at that team, it's loaded to get an early lead like Baltimore and just control the clock.
Agreed. I feel okay with you. Kris?
Push the chips all in on the Browns. I don't even care if Baker gets hurt. Anyone could be quarterback in that team to over 10 wins easily. I think they're by far the number 2 team in the AFC behind Kansas City.
Ooh, by far.
Without a doubt.
That's a bold fucking, I'm not saying you're wrong. That's just a bold statement there, buddy.
I honestly think they're the only team that could keep KC out of the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I will say this, though. Last year, they played them pretty well. So what Kris is saying is not necessarily inaccurate based on the optics. I would say that their balance is pretty good.
They're one of the only teams that can score and then keep Patrick Mahomes off the field.
That's true.
And they have enough guys on defense. If Clowney's half the player he was.
Clowney's never been a great pro.
I know. He gets the pressures. For some reason, the sack totals have never been there, but he gets in the backfield and he causes havoc.
Right.
That's because J.J. Watt would pressure the quarterback to the other side.
I am huge on. I don't even care if they go to KC week 1 and get the fucking doors blown off of them. I can easily see them winning 13 games. They made
13 is a stretch for me, but I can never see them winning 11 and 12. I can never see 11 and 12.
I got them at 12 and 5.
Okay.
Just imagine Odell hasn't done shit since he's got there. If he even had a mediocre season, that just takes the wide receiver core to the next. It takes Baker to the next level.
He isn't even the most important player on the team anymore. That's the funny thing. He's under the radar. No one's talking about him.
But if he becomes a game breaker again,
that's a problem.
God,
oh my God. Yep. He's hungry. He's hungry, definitely. So, all right, next team here on the list, we have here we go. The Dallas Cowboys. Last year went 6-10. This year, the over-under is 9.5 wins. We get reports with Dak Prescott. He made the reports are that he's no longer on what do you call it, quote unquote pitch count. But we almost heard last couple weeks that he could be hurt in and out of the year. The injury he has right now could be a problem throughout the season. So, I would have said over before because I believe in Dak. I think Dak is the top 10 quarterback in the league. But if the injury is a real thing, I mean that he's different between them winning 10 games and them winning 4 or 5, as you saw last year. So I'm gonna go under here. I don't trust reports, man. I think there's some real issues there.
What was the number again?
9.5.
Damn. Yeah. God, I feel like I'm riding your coattails. I'm on the under at 9. I think
Yeah.
they could literally. I think they could be above 500 and still finish under because of that half a game.
Of course. Not only that, Zach, but Zach, here's the thing. If I knew Dak was healthy, it's an easy over. I would said the bottom is 10-7. I like their roster, actually. That's not terrible. I just don't mind their team.
I think everyone loves their offensive roster.
Yeah.
But when you look at the defense, because there's a second part of a football game, they do not know how to play defense, and they do not have enough players to make an impact on defense.
And they have a new DC on top of that.
Who was straight garbage as a head coach, even when he was calling defense.
Who's it again? Who's the DC now?
Dan Quinn.
Atlanta coach.
Oh, Dan Quinn? Oh, hi, Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
That's right. Kris, what you got in this one?
There is not a single chance that anybody in the NFC East finishes over 500.
Shut your mouth.
You disrespectful fuck.
I think there's not a chance that anyone in that division. I think they're so bad that they all beat up on each other. Like, I don't think there's one team that could actually save the division or even barely over a winning record in the division. They're just that horrible.
Wow.
That division is garbage. Everyone is circling their games against the NFC East except for Washington. Everyone, because at least they have a defense.
Yeah.
Everyone else, they are circling them as their second bye week. That, it's a joke. That division's so bad. And I can't see any of this. They have a bunch of flashy players, but I just don't think they have a good team. That offensive line has just slowly fallen apart.
Yeah, that's true.
What was once their staple was just being able to have Zeke run behind that offensive line was just unstoppable. And now with Tyron Smith and the center's gone, his career's over, and Zack Martin's not the same anymore. Their strength is now I won't say it's a weakness, but it's just a moot point now. So to me, I just can't see where they start their first game of the year at Tampa Bay.
That's a loss. Next question.
And then they're on the road at the Chargers.
That's a loss.
They're going to be 0-2 to start the season.
So we all got unders on this one, huh?
But then they got 3 easy wins with Philly, Carolina, and the Giants.
We'll see how that goes. Anyway, next team here. This is probably of all 32 teams here, the weirdo team of the year for me, and that's the Denver Broncos. Last year, Denver Broncos were 5-11. This year, the over/under is 8.5 wins. I don't understand. I was people talk about the Broncos being good this year. I'm like, oh, really? And then I look at the schedule, wait, I can pluck out 8 wins here probably, and maybe get lucky on another one for ninth. I'm gonna listen to the critics here and say over. I love Teddy Bridgewater. I'm rooting for the guy to do well. He won a starting job a couple days ago, so I'll take the over on the Broncos. I don't know why. I'm just going on the hunch. They are the sexy team of the 2021 season. Zach, what do you got?
Can I take your money also and bet the under, please?
You bet the under?
I mean, if you're just gonna flush your money down the toilet on an over on that game,
we'll put dinner. We'll put the dinner next.
Just
dinner.
Give it to me. Look, they will be replacing Teddy Bridgewater by week 5. All right, that's that simple. Because they're gonna go, wait, we should have been able to beat the Giants in Jacksonville to start the season, and Bridgewater was playing too safe, and we lost both of those games. And then he's going to fall into a hole. All right. Bridgewater will be on the bench by week 5.
That's soon, huh?
Has no chance.
Okay. Kris.
Their schedule is so soft. I don't know how you can see it. At the Giants, at Jacksonville, and then hosting the Jets, that is so.
So tell me this. So this again.
Yeah. Imagine losing those games.
So I started this podcast saying that a lot of these teams are inflated. This is one of the 2 teams that seem inflated, but kind of listen to the critics here. I'm like, you know what? Let me take a chance on this one. Deflated number, though.
I wasn't impressed with what Vic Fangio was able to do with the defensive tools he has there. So that was the one thing to me where it was like, he's got the talent there on defense, and I didn't see, like, him bringing that, like, 49ers style, like, the straight dominant defense there. I do like what they did, like, in the offseason.
Uh-huh.
But I think 8.5's high. To me, especially with, like, now you have a placeholder quarterback with their young guy that they're developing as a bench player now. So now, how does he handle it? How is Drew Lock going to handle being handed the keys and then not being able to chance back from a down year as a young player on, like, a iffy offense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that could just destroy his confidence. I just don't see him as that dude that's going to sit there with his ass off to get his job back. I just see it as, like, now you're going to have complacent dudes there.
All right. Next.
They're going to be, like, just under 500
okay.
team, 7 wins.
Okay. Next team here, the Detroit Lions. Last year they were 5-11. This year the over/under is 5. Wow. New quarterback. They traded Matthew Stafford for Jared Goff. Oh boy, this to me could be the worst team in football this year. Honestly, I'm gonna go under in this one. Especially this, look at the schedule. Like, wow, I could barely 5-3-4 wins in this.
I would like to agree with you that they're going to be the worst team in football, but the division is so bad.
Is it though?
One quality team with Green Bay. That's it.
So you say Detroit could beat Chicago on the
Minnesota each game? It's just so they don't have a chance. They have nothing on defense. Their offensive line, they drafted what was supposed to be the best left tackle in years, and they decided, you know what, we're going to make him play a right tackle, and he's been straight garbage. Whatever they're doing, they don't know what they're doing.
Kris.
I will say, I mean, you have the ultimate cheerleader, rah-rah coach, and Dan Campbell there.
Man, Campbell.
And I was shocked. That a guy like Anthony Lynn, fresh off the firing from the Chargers, would take the, like, OC job there. Because that's just such a weird move, like, to go there. Like, yeah,
I agree.
But they have a whole new coach. Obviously, when you change your head coach, generally speaking, the whole coaching staff comes over as brand new. But, you know, he was able to poach Aaron. Like, that's another one of those poach jobs where, like, he came from New Orleans and was able to poach Aaron Glenn as his. Now, he was the defensive coordinator there. He was DB coach, but, you know, so the familiarity there. I mean, they made wholesale change, not only from Matt Stafford to Jared Goff, but they just changed the entire roster around, which is good. I mean, you can definitely tell they're trying to get their type of players in. You know, they're trying to build a system there. I mean, they're definitely going under 100%. The key is they're playing the NFC West. So that's automatic 4 losses. Boom, right there. They're not beating anyone from the NFC West. So when you incorporate them playing the AFC North as well, it doesn't matter. You're playing literally 2 of the best divisions. That's like your non-divisional schedule is against the two of the best divisions in all football. So that's just fucking brutal. So I just don't see them winning games here. But when you combine all those factors in, like, man, playing the NFC North, the NFC West and the AFC North, that sucks. So, I got them under. But I don't think they'll be the worst team in the league, surprisingly.
They'll be one of. I think those teams of the league's coming up in a second. Next team here, the Green Bay Packers, over under. Last year they're 13-3, made it to the NFC Championship game. And their over under number is 9, a little lower than usual. Obviously, we went through the Aaron Rodgers saga the entire offseason. He's back for at least 1 more year. to me, this is the year. This is it. This is a make or break year for the Packers. Like, if to me, the only way I can see Aaron Rodgers being here multiple years beyond this season is them winning the Super Bowl. And I don't know how we feel about that going forward, but I'll take the over on this one. I don't know how good they'll be beyond just being a playoff team. I think they're at least as good as last year, but the rest of the conference probably got a little better too around them. But I'll go over on the Packers 9 wins. Well, I mean, yeah, we can.
Wait. You really think the rest of the conference oh wait, you did say conference, not division.
That's a conference. That's a division. No, division got worse actually.
I thought you said division.
No, conference.
Like, there's no way that division got better.
Right, of course. No, of course. Yeah, come on now. What's that?
Green Bay. This line is one of those lines that would make you jump on a plane tomorrow and go to Vegas if you didn't know how to do internet gambling or you couldn't find a bookie. I feel like they set this line expecting Aaron Rodgers was out the door and gone.
Yep.
All right. I'm with you. This is so far over. I think they win 13 games at a bare minimum.
That's what I've been doing the last couple of years. I mean, honestly.
I think first off, you're going to be 6-0 in your division.
5-1. I can see Minnesota clipping one game off. That's it.
No. I know you like Kirk Cousins, but no.
I don't like Kirk Cousins that much. I'm just saying that I can see one game.
And then when you look at their toughest matchups, I'm looking at their schedule. It's
Tampa.
Kansas City on the road and Baltimore on the road.
Isn't there a Tampa in there too? A Tampa game in there also?
I'm sorry, but San Fran's way overrated.
No, Tampa.
Oh, Tampa? I'm not seeing it on the schedule here.
Okay. I thought it was a Tampa game on there.
Yeah, I'm looking at their schedule.
I think if you look at it, this is disrespectful, honestly. At least 9.5 wins. At least 9.5. 9 wins? Come on, way over, buddy.
Yeah, you guys are forgetting that they're playing the NFC West and the AFC North. Those are two hard divisions right there. I mean, do you see them beating, at Arizona, hosting Seattle, at Baltimore, hosting Cleveland? Those are tough games, man.
I know.
Their non-division schedule is brutal. Like at San Fran, at New Orleans to start the year, they've got some tough games. At Kansas City.
Jameis's first game as a starter there? No.
You guys are sleeping on Jameis. I see you guys. Granted, they will dominate that division. A clean sweep is easy to see. This is one of those where, Mike Zimmer, he's a good coach. He might be able to pull one off, but they're definitely sweeping the line. They're definitely sweeping the Bears. So just because Aaron Rodgers has their number, this is a tough one, man. It really is. 9 wins is right where I have them. This could be a push to me.
Wait, you really see the Packers going 9-8 this year with a healthy Aaron Rodgers? 9-8?
Can we get a drug test on him?
That's ridiculous. What?
You can't say teams like Baltimore are going to be good.
No. I'm not disagreeing with you saying. The point you made about the point about the division you made is actually a good point. I agree with you, but 9 wins only at the bottom?
Yes. You're talking about dysfunctional. You think just because Aaron Rodgers is there, he's content?
Let me ask you a question quick.
Let me
ask you a question quick, Kris. Then, do the Packers win the division at 9-8?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, then you're playing in my 14 playoff theory now. That makes my argument even stronger than about the 4 teams in the NFC West going to playoffs. Thank you.
I have a more important question for Kris, real quick.
Go ahead.
They could definitely go over for sure, but I wouldn't be shocked if they lost week 1 at New Orleans. I would not be.
9.5. If you had told me 9.5 wins was the total, I can see that 9 wins though.
No, y'all are okay. Now y'all are both smoking crack. I got one quick question.
Go ahead.
We're all talking about how it's going to be a clean sweep for Green Bay. So the rest of that division is straight garbage. So, Kris, the rest of that division is straight garbage, and you want to say the NFC East is weak?
That's true. That's so true.
Yeah, but at least you have one. at least they have one dominant team there.
I'll take the Giants or
Who's the
Philly over Detroit.
Yeah, Green Bay's a legitimate contender that's guaranteed to make the playoffs. Not one team in the NFC East is like that.
All right.
I'll take the Giants and Philly over Chicago.
All right. Let's move on to the next
I mean,
team.
actually, you know what? I'm going over. They're going to win 10 games.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going over. So we're all going over. There we go. So we came at the sanity. Good job. Okay. Next team here. This team was definitely going. Huh?
Barely. They're not winning more than 10 games.
Okay. Your argument was your argument was a good argument about the divisions, but I still see him win 10 games at least. All right, as long as Rodgers healthy, of course. Now, if he's not healthy, then anything's on the table. All right, next team here, Houston Texans. Last year, disastrous season. They went 4-12, I believe. Was it 4-12? Make sure. Hold on. It was 4-12. Yeah,
It was.
That's 4-12. This year, the over/under is 4.5 wins. This is probably the worst team in football this year, and a lot of reasons. And now it wouldn't be so if we knew what the status of Deshaun Watson is going forward. But because that's in limbo, he already has a trade request pending. There's an investigation with him now as we speak. So it's a lot of things in the air. That alone makes this reason why the under is the lock here. It's a lock under.
Oh, it's not just a lock. The number one pick in the draft is already working out a contract with the Texans. All right. If Deshaun Watson could only win 4 games last year, a guy who's supposed to be considered a top 10 quarterback can only win 4 games last year, and he's not going to play this year, and the over-under is 4.5. Can I get a loan, please?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, get a loan. And Zach, not only that, he was still really good last year. At 4-12.
Well, yeah. It's like Saquon in garbage time. He was really good in garbage time.
This team sucks. So under, huh?
Oh, yes. Give me 3 wins. Facts.
All right.
And I'm not even sure it's 3.
Yeah, I have 214 rounds like for this team. Kris.
So I'm going to not only the Deshaun Watson dysfunction, let's still not forget, because it happened so long ago, they hired David Culley as their head coach. So on top of that, no one on the fucking roster even likes the head coach hire. And then you bring in Lovie Smith as your defensive coordinator, fresh out of college. Now granted, they have they have a decent offensive line, and they signed a bevy of running backs. You have David Johnson there, along with Mark Ingram and Philip Lindsay there. They're like a 3-headed monster behind a decent offensive line. Even if Deshaun Watson plays the whole year, I just don't see any hope for them. They cut so many veterans on that team. They just made so many wholesale changes. They're going to be awful.
Yeah,
that is just.
Didn't you say before the show started? Did you say before the show started that 0-17 is on the table?
That team right then and there. I put 0-17 on the table, 100%.
The only reason why I couldn't do that,
hosting Jacksonville and losing that game, and
they get to play the Jets at home late in the season.
The Jets are better than. Well, we'll see what they're at that point in the year, but yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. Okay.
I think Jags week only hope with a fresh Trevor Lawrence. That's your only shot at a win this year. Is that first game? Really?
Yeah.
I'm being honest. That's their only chance to win a game. Is that first game of the year? Because I don't think they're going to win at Jacksonville week 15.
Oh, okay.
Their only chance.
Fair point. That's a good point. All right.
Next. One last question.
Go ahead.
Because I don't pay much attention to the NFL. Who the hell is David Culley? I've never heard of the man.
Yeah.
I never heard of the man.
Some dude.
He got hired.
Some dude. I've heard a name float around once or twice, but that's about it. Don't know who he is, in other words. Anyway. All right, next team here, we have the Indianapolis Colts staying in the division, of course, the AFC South. Last year, 11-5, made the playoffs with Phil Rivers quarterback, then he retired. Now they got Carson Wentz, who may not be healthy for week 1. We'll see how that goes. Their over-under number is 10 wins. Now, had I known Carson Wentz would be healthy, out the gate, I would have gone over this one. Then he already gets hurt. He might be out 5 weeks. Now we're hearing he might play week 1. We'll see what happens. I'm going to go push. 10-7 is at it. Now, if Carson Wentz stays healthy, I can see this actually being a team that goes over 500, over 10 wins rather. But it's Carson Wentz. That's the problem. And I like Carson Wentz a lot, but he just can't stay healthy. So I'm going to go with a push here. Zachary.
I've been watching and listening to too much Pat McAfee, okay?
He's great, by the way. He's awesome.
I've already been conned into it. I think the Colts win 9 to 10 games. I'm going to take the over at 10 and expect them to max out at 10 wins as long as everyone stays healthy.
What's you got to push?
I thought it was 9.5.
No, it's 10.
9.
It's 10.
Oh, it's 10? Oh, shit. Then I got to push.
Okay.
Take that back. It's just a push. Because that offensive line is amazing.
Yep.
They got a great run game, and their defense, every level, they have a stud. Every single level of that defense, there is a stud that can make an impact.
Although Quentin Nelson is hurt, he's supposed to miss 3 to 5 weeks also, too. We'll see how that actually holds up, but that's a big injury. But anyway, Kris, go ahead.
Man, see, I'm completely opposite. I don't think you guys have looked at the actual schedule.
I did.
They can easily go 0-5 to start the year.
Oh, yeah, I agree. No, that's what I'm saying. But I was saying...
You host the Rams first 2 weeks, then you go on the road at Tennessee, at Dolphins, at
Baltimore,
Ravens, without possibly Quentin Nelson and Carson Wentz, with Jacob Eason starting for... I don't give a fuck how good your offensive line is with that running game. Jonathan Taylor is still not like a world beater by any means. I just don't see where you got they start off 0-5, the wheels fall off that entire season because then you're hoping and praying that Carson Wentz comes in as the savior to save the season for them, and they could go downhill. They have a real soft schedule following that, but I don't see it. I'm way under. Even when they get into their softer part of the schedule, you're still going at San Fran, at Buffalo, hosting Tampa Bay. I don't see a point where they can rebound in the year to build momentum. I think this is going to be one of those years where it's holy crap. And then you come to the fact that is Frank Reich going to survive the year at that point?
Wait. Survive the year? Wait, he's on a hot seat? That's news. That's news.
Is on one of the coldest seats.
Bro, that guy has fucking he hot seat on Frank Reich? Hell no. That dude
based on the expectations for the team, if they really have I'm talking top 7 pick.
No, I don't see it. I don't see it at all. No, I can't see it. No.
Look at the schedule.
I understand that, Kris, but that guy has made the playoffs almost every year he's been there. And
I know, but
not only that,
when you have that negative momentum to start the season, I just see it.
Okay, so
I can't.
So I can see what you're saying.
Fresh and just starts dominating. There's going to be too much pressure on him to be the savior with how bad they can start the year.
Where I'll agree with you on this is that if he has a bad year this year, I can see spilling to next year. But this year, dude, he has probably the best job security not named Bill Belichick right now.
No way.
I totally disagree with you.
No, I think you're right. Ernest. I think there'd be a better chance of Harbaugh and Baltimore getting fired before they fire.
Exactly. I totally agree with you on that one. I can't see Frank Reich. Frank Reich made a play with Phillip Rivers on the downside of his career last year. I mean, no, I can't see that, man.
Missed their 5 interceptions a game.
Yeah, I don't see that. I mean, that's a hot take.
Here is if their win total is 10 and they win 5 games, you don't think that's going to be a horrendous season?
But what I'm saying is that he won't get fired this year for that. He'll probably be on the hot seat the year after, but not this year. No, not this year. Anyway, let's move forward here.
Have you guys got Eric Bieniemy sitting there? You don't think you just make that move right then and there?
No.
Because that's the team that he would want to go.
No, because I think right now he has enough of goodwill in the right now to at least last 2 years. Anyway, we'll go next team here. Next team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Last year was a disaster, obviously. Worst team in football, 1-15. They drafted Trevor Lawrence, the first pick. Their over-under number this year is 6.5. This is easy. I'm going to go under. This is a learning curve here for Trevor Lawrence and company, and Urban Meyer, of course. Nothing more to say, but the under team. Go ahead, Zach.
I'm with you. I think 3 wins is going to be a celebration for this team. I don't think Trevor Lawrence was the right quarterback for Urban Meyer.
You keep saying that. You've been saying it for the last 6-8 months now.
Okay. What did Urban Meyer run?
No. I get it. You were saying it before the draft. You were saying that.
State.
Yeah. You were saying that last year before the draft that Fields should have been the pick, not Lawrence. But
yeah. Trevor Lawrence doesn't fit the system. Yeah, he's athletic. He can run for a tall, skinny white kid. He can get under 5 seconds in the 40.
Yeah.
But he's not a spread quarterback.
Understandable.
And again, now once you look at that, you look at the system Urban Meyer wants, and then you look at that offensive line. I don't even know if Trevor Lawrence will finish the season.
Kris?
This is going to be a rough year for them. But they have some winnable games. I can easily see them winning 4 games, 100% easily. But yeah, okay. You have a whole new coaching staff. Where you do have a veteran play caller in Darrell Bevel coming there, so that's the one hope you do have. So it's not like, but Urban Meyer adjusting to the pro game. And then Trevor Lawrence, ETN, he's out for the year already.
Out for the year.
A huge blow. They're trying to bring in a nice weapon for them.
That's a sad story,
with
though.
James Robinson there, I see them winning about 4. I could see them easily winning 4 games. Yeah, 100%.
Still way under. All right, next team here we have the defending AFC champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. Last year, of course, went 14-2, going to the Super Bowl for losing, getting their ass kicked by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This should be an easy one. Quickly, over/under is 12.5 wins. I'm going over. Obviously, they'll win at least 13 games. It's Pat Mahomes. It's Andy Reid on offense. I could probably see a little bit of a drawback, but even that is 12-5. Even that's 13-4 rather. So yeah, I at the bottom is 13 wins this year. So I'm going over. Zach,
I'll take 14-3.
Okay.
It's an over.
So weird. 14-3.
Nothing even to talk about. They're going to be the AFC representative in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Kris, should be easy, right? Uh-oh.
I will agree with that fact. I think Patrick Mahomes the closest thing to LeBron James level consistent dominance that we'll see in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think at this point, it is the ultimate team game, but he's bringing that type of just making everybody around him so much better.
Yep.
I think until someone just takes the next level, there's not one team that you would just want to pencil them in every year, Super Bowl. And it would take a gift of God for someone to beat them, to dethrone them.
Yeah.
His
name was Tom Brady.
They even improved their offensive line from last year. They now have the best young left tackle in football, thanks to a dumb trade from Baltimore.
All right. Next team here.
I would say this: that they're pretty much three. There's 3 biggest contenders in the AFC. They play in the first 5 weeks. So that'll say a lot about the team. You play the Browns, Ravens, and Bills. That's by far the 3 toughest competition. If they win 2 out of those 3 games, they're easily going over that. But if they lose all 3 games because those teams are just more hungry than them, they might not hit that 13 win to cover the over. But I still think, even at 12 wins, they're still going to make it to the Super Bowl.
Right. All right, next team here, the Las Vegas Raiders. Last year, they were 8-8. The over-under this year is 7 wins. This team I cannot figure out at all. I really can't. But you know what? I think their bottom should be. They are. This team is literally the definition of mediocrity. And because you can't have an 8-8 year, is either 8, 9, 9, 8. I'm gonna go over on 7 wins. I'm gonna go over. I think they're at bottom 8 and 9. Maybe they get some breaks this year. They got some talent. They're not terrible. I just don't know if they can crack a double-digit win season. I don't know. Zach?
I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't see them cracking double-digit wins. I'm also with you. I think they win exactly 8 games. But they're going to start out 0-4. And that's going to be a real test is how they respond. Thankfully, they'll get Chicago, so they'll be 1-4. But there's just not enough talent. And I think it starts with the coach. The coach isn't talented enough to win.
Kris?
It's one of the most, I don't know how to say it, just confusing, like, coaching staff with the front office, like between Mike Mayock and John Gruden, that dynamic is just mind-boggling. The moves they make, like Josh Jacobs, absolute stud. So what do? What's their big signing a free agent? They go get Kenyon Drake. I get it. They might want to preserve Josh Jacobs. He got way overused last year and got banged up towards the end of the year. Between him and like Ngakoue, like that was their 2 big signings. It just all the moves they make are just head scratching. But if Trent Brown and like Rodney Hudson, or if Trent Brown and like can come to the offensive line and kind of stabilize it, and Derek Carr still playing good, that Marcus Mariota really lit that fire underneath him. They're just that team. They're that 500 team, which you can't be anymore. Shit, they could go 8-1. So you still can't go 500 technically, and that's just what I see for them. Like I don't know. Like I think they go under, but they're just there's a head scratcher because some weeks they look great, and some weeks you're like, what are they doing?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what? I'll push with 7 wins.
Okay. All right. That sounds reasonable. All right. Next team here, staying in L.A. Not L.A. That was Vegas. So now we'll go to Los Angeles. The L.A. Chargers. Last year 7-9. Oh, I tell you, 7-9. They could have easily been 9-7 better last year with some of those losses they had in the year. Their over/under number this year is 9. Lots of people love this team going forward. Love Justin Herbert. I have him as a sneaky MVP candidate, actually. You know, a lot of people betting on this team to make the playoffs and be the sexy team in the AFC. I'm gonna go over. I like Herbert. I think if players stay healthy, you know, they have a good thing going there in LA. I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna put some faith in the Chargers. Zach.
I absolutely love this team. When you look at the back end of their schedule, their last 7-8 games, they maybe lose 1.
Really?
It's the Kansas City at home. And
when is that game?
Last year,
when is that
at
game?
home against Kansas City, Herbert outplayed Mahomes.
He did.
They were owning that game to the end when their coach fucked up. So if everyone stays healthy on defense, and that's the number one key, if you can at least just keep Bosa and Darwin healthy for the whole season, I think they're an 11-win team. So I'm taking the over, and I'm also expecting them to at least win 1 playoff game.
Ooh, okay. Kris.
You guys are out of your fucking mind.
Yeah,
the only
fucking guy.
The AFS has going for them is they play the East, so you can chalk that up as 4 wins right there. But besides that, you're talking about a young player going in and having a complete overhaul of the entire coaching staff in his second year. So whatever you think Justin Herbert's going to take the next step, you remember, oh, wait, he has a new head coach and he's a defensive guy. And I just don't see where I think he plateaus completely. Like, I just don't, he might even regress some just for that fact that you completely change the entire coaching staff year 2. And that schedule there is some soft points in that schedule because they play
the second half of the season is completely soft, minus the game against Kansas City at home.
No, you still. I mean, I still think at Las Vegas they probably lose that game. Hosting
last
Denver
game
late
of the
in the year,
season.
they could lose that game. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a team with no fan base. Though the opposing teams still bring out the fans more than they do. I just don't see them like beating any of the competitive teams that they play against.
Here's their end of the season schedule, real quick. Week 12, Denver.
Okay.
Cincinnati,
At
the Giants, Kansas City's their loss. At Houston, that's a tough one. Home to Denver. They're going to be on a roll that is so strong.
If they can actually win at least like 6 games or even 5 games the first half of the year, they can really get into that like 12-win territory if you're lucky.
No.
Yeah, I mean that back end is built to go to the playoffs.
Just think. Week 3 at Kansas City. Week 5, Cleveland Browns. Week 6 at Baltimore. Come off the bye week. Week 8, New England Patriots, and then you go to Philly. Like
Philly's gonna be tough.
Where you see the wins coming from? I just
think they're gonna struggle against Philly when Philly has nothing.
Let's circle this team for because we'll probably do a checkup on some point in the middle of the year. We'll check on this. This circles one of the teams to look at the halfway point of the year and see where we're at because they're the team that I was looking at.
Can you name the head coach?
For who?
The head coach is Brandon Staley. The Chargers. Brandon Staley.
I couldn't have told you their head coach last year until he got fired.
But the thing is, on 2 other guys that don't have much experience. So it is a very green coaching staff with young players that just aren't ready to take
Not on the offensive line, though. They brought in a Pro Bowler at right tackle.
I love the moves they make, but that coaching staff into a young player's career will definitely regress or plateau Justin Herbert. And I think you guys are seeing this like Josh Allen leap. He came into the league hot, and he's going to have these expectations. And I think you have to realize that these defenders don't like when dudes come in like that, and they're going to really humble him this year.
Well, we shall see.
Last year.
We shall see. It may happen. We'll see, but I don't know. Anyway.
They're not.
This team to me is under the radar right now, and that's the LA Rams. Last year, I believe they went 10-6. Am I right about that? 10-6. The Rams were 10-6. This year, their overrunner is that same exact number, 10 wins. You get Matthew. As I said earlier, they traded away Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford, and I think this team has been on the radar because obviously you have the Tampa's taking all the oxygen out of the room and Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay and all that. I think Matthew Stafford. I'm probably one of the bigger Stafford fans on the planet. Guys, to me, was certainly a top 12 quarterback last decade, top 10 quarterback last decade probably, and I think right now he's a top 10 quarterback in the league right now. Given where he's on, where roster's on now, I think this team could be the biggest bracket buster of the entire NFC. I'm gonna go over on this team. They might win the division.
I'm with you. They will win the division. They'll win 11 games. Matthew Stafford will prove why they made that trade. And if there's any team that will compete against the Rams or against the Bucks for a shot at the Super Bowl, it's going to be the Rams.
How about this?
That pass rush alone will negate almost every other team's offensive abilities.
How about this real quick? Matthew Stafford, I'm actually tweeting this right now as we speak. Matthew Stafford, sneaky MVP candidate?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I don't even know if he's sneaky because everyone likes the trade so much. He's got to be one of the 5 or 6 best lines to bet.
Kris.
I love the team. Don't get me wrong. But when you're continuously trading first-round picks, they gave up 2 for Jalen Ramsey, then they gave up 2 for Matthew Stafford, and you're not bringing in the influx of young talent, your depth gets hit. And, I mean, you can see right away with the running backs. You lose Cam Akers, now they have to go make a trade for Sony Michel. Great trade, by the way. And that's definitely going to hold them up. I love the sneaky Deshaun Jackson signing. I think it's a great signing for that team.
Exactly. Could you imagine that deep threat with that huge of an arm to throw to him?
I don't like the fact that because Sean McVay's success, he's continuously losing coordinators. Like, he lost his OC last year, then he lost his DC this year. Like, now granted, he replaced the DC, who's the head coach of the Chargers now, same city. He replaced him with Raheem Morris, which is a good signing. But when you're constantly flowing through that, like, coaching talent, I think they're kind of like alternating like good and bad seasons. I think this is their down year. I think Matt Stafford needs time to adjust to a new team. You know, maybe get used to the pressure of actually having to win games is big. The one thing I will say going for them is early on their schedule is a little on the softer side just because you're catching like Chicago at a good point of the year. You're catching Indianapolis at a good point of the year. And you're still finishing off that little stretch with like the Giants and Lions and Texans. But they could definitely hit some rough stretches in their season. I think they win 9 games. I think they go 9-8 just because that division's rough. But they'll definitely beat up on the low-hanging fruit. But I just think this is one of those years where like they're not going to ascend because of the fact that, you know, Matt Stafford has to – he's been in Detroit where, like, they had a couple of years where they had winning records, but there was not a lot of pressure on him. No. And he's going to a big city with a lot of pressure on him. They gave up. The thing was, when you're giving up so much capital to get somebody, it's like when Jay Cutler got traded from Denver to Chicago. It was not only that he's in a bigger city now with more expectations, it's the fact that they gave up so much to get him. And I don't know. I just don't see it for LA this year. But they'll definitely win like 8 or 9 games for sure.
Oh, you're going under?
Yeah, I'm going under.
Wow. Ooh.
They can still make the playoffs at 9-8. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah. Of course, yeah. Okay, next team here. We got the my second favorite football team, the Miami Dolphins. Last year went 10-6. This year their over/under is 9. A lot of people like this team. People were shaky on Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback. I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna ride the wave here. I think that the roster is really good. It's all about Tua. I think Tua will be solid this year. Call me crazy. I don't know. Zach.
Look, as much as I enjoy pissing off Dolphin fans and hating on them, I do really like Tua. And I think that was the right choice last year in the draft. I think it was a right choice not to change it up and reevaluate and stick with him. I thought that was the smart decision. But for me, it's a push. It's 9 wins. It just feels so hard for me to think the Bills are going to be great, and I think the Pats are going to win the division. To have a third team in that division win that many games. So I'm going to hedge and just say push.
Yeah, but the AFC North did last year. The AFC North had a 2 11-win teams and then had a 13-win team last year. It's very possible.
It is because they have the Jets in their division, so there is a chance. But I'm going to say they reached their ceiling, but the ceiling's only 9 wins.
No, as Jordan said, the ceiling was the roof. Go ahead, Kris. I need that soundbite, too.
I love it.
I need that soundbite.
I'm going over.
Love it.
Easy over.
Balls.
Easily double-digit wins this year for them. The schedule works out so good. They go to New England week 1 when it's hot as shit, and then they host New England last game of the year when New England's cold as shit. They come down to hot-ass Miami. they have a very soft portion of their schedule where they can easily reel off 3-4 wins in a row. Easy. I think.
Oh, they could reel off 5 out of 6 to end the season before a possible playoff match against the Pats.
There's
no
love
doubt
the moves
about
they
that.
make, especially if Jalen Waddle shows up and Will Fuller comes in and he starts balling out on his prove-it contract. I love all the moves they made. The only thing that scares me is going into this season, they're going with like the co-offensive coordinator play callers with like the running back coach and their tight ends coach, which is kind of weird. They don't have like a real play caller.
Right.
And for a young quarterback, I don't like that. But I think Tua's so talented, people forget how good he is, that he's going to ascend because he can't get any worse than he played last year. I think this year they take the reins off of him. And I think Brian Flores, being a defensive guy, has like kind of put a leash on him to like just don't turn the ball over. So then he's thinking and dunking instead of really letting it loose. I think this year he has the deep threats to just let it loose, and they're going to kill it this year. I don't think they're going to be contender. They're going to make the playoffs.
Okay.
They're not going to be legitimate contend. Like they're not going to beat like Baltimore in the playoffs or the Browns or any of those teams or KC, but they're going to make it and they're going to make some noise. Both sides of the ball, they're good.
All right, next team here, the Minnesota Vikings. Last year they went 8-8. No, sorry, 7-9. Went 7-9 last year. This year the over-under number is 8.5 wins. This one, the Vikings have been one of those teams last couple years for me that always felt like better than I thought they were. But always always came up short. I'm done with that shit. I'm gonna go under on the Vikings, 8.5 wins. I think 8 is their probably ceiling this year. So under on the Vikings. Zach.
Well, I'm certainly taking the under, and I think you know why.
Yep.
There's a guy at starting quarterback who is a choke
Your boy.
Now, I have not looked at their actual TV time schedule, so maybe he avoids every possible primetime game.
Yeah, right.
And so he can have a good season, but I honestly just think the defense is just so weak they cannot carry the offense.
Here's my question, though. Mike Zimmer, who I'm a big fan of, is this, you talk about pressure, people under pressure, is he done it this year? If they go 9-8 or worse, is he done it this year?
Well,
they don't make the playoffs, he thought.
Oh, they're going to fire him?
No,
wow.
I think he's there. I think they keep him. And I have him
You're
winning
fired.
maybe 6 games at most.
Right.
But he's too good a coach, and he's not being given enough on defense. He's a defensive coach, and you've basically given him backups at most positions.
Oof.
I think when you start bringing in family members as like coaches, like his son is the defensive coordinator, that puts your seat even hotter. And then you bring in like Gary Kubiak's son as like quarterback coach. And the one thing that scares me is like the hate that like Kirk Cousins won't get vaxxed. And that's really like turning I don't know. I just don't see the team liking him as a person. So for me, like, I can see that team kind of like, there's a handful of games like at Carolina, like at the Chargers. If they lose those games, they can have a really bad season. Those are like the toss-up games where like each team is like has like equal expectations, like middle of the pack teams. They lose all those, that team can go south really fast. But I mean, they're one Dalvin Cook injury away from just being fucking just horrible.
Oh yeah, without question.
On top of that,
without question.
So I'm going under. I think they're an 8-win team.
All right, next team here. The New England Patriots last year went 7-9. This year, over/under is 9.5 wins. Remember last year was the first year out Tom Brady. And I've defended this team all offseason. That this team going 7-9 was a miracle because considering all the COVID stuff they went through the entire year, Cam Newton coming in late last year, the fact they went 7-9 is actually a miracle. and now they have a whole season to retool. I'm gonna go over on this team. I think I don't know who's gonna be starting the quarterback. I don't know if it'll be Mac Jones, it'll be Cam Newton, but whoever it may be, this team's getting 10 wins at least this year. So I'm going over.
I agree with you. I don't think it even matters who's at quarterback. When you bring back 2 of your 3 best defensive players, right there gives you an extra win.
Yep.
Cam Newton has now been in the system for a year, and he actually got to work through it. That's another win. So you've gone from 7-9 to 9-7. You can pick up an extra game here or there. It's an easy take the over. But I'll do better than that. They are back to being the best team in that division.
Just like that, huh? And that happens. Bill Belichick will come
and that is saying that without even caring about who plays quarterback. You have a run game that will be dominating for that team. An offensive line that can control the trench. They have everything they need to make it back to the playoffs. I love this team this year.
All right. Kris.
They broke the bank in free agency. I don't know if you remember, like, the first few days, they were signing everybody. Like Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Nelson, they broke the bank. And you could just see that was like Bill Belichick's like, oh, motherfucker, Tom Brady just came and won. And everyone thinks it was fucking him. And I had nothing to do with it. And I was just nobody. And he came in and he fucking broke the bank in free agency. And if there's anyone that's going to just sign a bunch of dudes and get them playing right, it's going to be Bill Belichick. And I think this is the year he reminds everybody who the alpha dog, who was the reason why they won all those championships were. And Cam looks great in preseason. He's firing darts all over. His shoulder looks healthy. I think they're definitely going to, like, I'm not going to say definitely going over, but I'm real high on. I think they have a better record.
Just say it. Have some balls.
Over. They have a record to the Bills.
Oof.
For sure. I think they have at least 10 wins with the Bills too. I think that division, like, they just all beat up. I just don't see one, like, the Bills, like, winning all those games against, like, I think the Bills split with the Dolphins and Patriots. Like, but the Patriots, they have a lot of toss-up games, and they host a lot of them. To me, like, New Orleans, the toss-up game, because both teams are pretty good, but they host New Orleans. They host Tampa Bay. They host the Cowboys. You know, and then the more winnable games, like Carolina, they go on the road at Carolina, at Atlanta. So, like, they're easier. Their road games are easy, and their home games are ones that are tough. But when you have that home field advantage, you know, like late in the season, you know, I think they could easily beat Buffalo, Jacksonville. You know, they're gonna go on a nice stretch. You know, we'll see, but you have continuity there with the coaching staff. Obviously, you know, everyone comes back. I like New England this year.
As a follow-up to the free agency thing, I think all that free agent spending was Belichick saying, "Oh shit, Tom Brady really mattered. He really was part of the reason why we won, because I trotted out all these garbage weapons, and guess what? They truly were garbage, and that's why he went out and spent." And I also think that's the reason why he traded away Sonny Michel.
Yeah,
because Sonny Michel was going to be fourth on the depth chart, and last year he was their number one running back.
Alrighty, next team here. The New Orleans Saints, last year, of course, won the division at 12-4. Drew Brees, of course, their legendary quarterback, retired at the end of the year. This year, their over-under is 9.5 wins. We don't know yet who is the starting quarterback for the team week one. Is it James Winston? Is it Taysom Hill? We'll find out soon enough. Another team that feels inflated, I could see them winning 9 games. That's the ceiling for me right now at this point. I have to see it. And if I had a bet on it, I'll bet the under. I'm betting the under on the Saints. I can see 9-8. That's about it, though. Zach?
I can't even go 9 wins. All right.
Oh wow.
When you look at that schedule, it's that every other game is a tough game. So they're never gonna get into a rhythm. And once you realize you can't even get into a rhythm, and you have what you have, you're gonna be missing Michael Thomas for half the season. You have Jameis Winston, maybe with contacts, he can tell colors down the field when the game actually matters. I don't know, but 8 wins to me seems like a miracle for the team.
Kris?
If Jameis Winston is the starter, they will win at least 10 games this year.
I could see that, but
right.
I got to see it all together. And then the Michael Thomas stuff going on too. On top of that distraction.
This is, regardless of that, this is the most, from top to bottom, the most tenured coaching staff in the entire league, like overall. And when you have that continuity in the coaching staff, no matter what moves they make, that stuff falls in place. Those transitions from like a generational talent like Drew Brees going into the hands of a number 1 overall draft pick. Can we not forget that? He was the number 1 overall draft pick. You're gonna have a smooth transition because of what's up top. Not having to worry about who your coach is going to be or that guy. Sean Payton is an offensive genius. That's why he's been in the league now going into year 16, because the man knows what he's doing.
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't care if they don't have.
I would like to reiterate one thing about Jameis Winston. Tom Brady took Jameis Winston's team to the playoffs and won a Super Bowl. Jameis Winston couldn't do jack squat in 5 years in Tampa. To think that now he's going to go to a team with fewer weapons and be better, you got to make it make sense, because it just doesn't make sense.
So, Zach, I see a point there, and I actually mostly agree with you. The thing is, I have a lot of faith in Sean Payton. So if James Winston can't make it work with Sean Payton, then he's just done. Sean Payton is I see Sean Payton do with Kerry Collins. I see Sean Payton do with other quarterbacks, middling quarterbacks. If he can't get done with James Winston, he can't get done here, then he's just done in the league. It's that simple. So I mostly agree with you.
Year 1 with Bruce Arians, all quarterbacks had their highest interception totals because he likes to sling it around. And he didn't get that chance to have a year 2 with him. And I think you would have seen a big improvement there. Wasn't it year with the off?
Wasn't it year 1 for Kurt Warner and Bruce Arians when they went to the Super Bowl? And I feel like it was year 1 of Ben Roethlisberger and Bruce Arians. Or maybe it was year 2. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought all 3 of those guys, it's been year 1.
Close enough.
Brady, Warner,
close enough,
and Roethlisberger.
No, Arians is a great coach. I mean, not going to dispute that here, But
if they start playing with like Taysom Hill and him, like especially when they're disrupting game flow and rhythm, like it's one thing if you just throw Taysom Hill in the red zone, or have a gadget play here and there, but they start alternating drives and shit and doing stuff like that, then their whole season could be way under. But if they hand the keys off to Jameis Winston, easy 10 wins.
All right, next team here, New York Giants, my team. Last year went 6-10. Over-under number is set at 7.5 wins. This, to me, is, of the 4 teams in the NFC East, is the big question mark team. Because they have a nice roster around Daniel Jones. But again, this is about Daniel Jones. Okay? If he cleans up his mess, stops turning the ball over, I can see his team win 10 games. If not, they're just where they were last year. And that means he's done in New York. And then that means Dave Gellman's done in New York as well, too. I'm going to take the over just because I feel like this team might finally figure. I think Jones will finally figure it out this year somewhat, and that'll be enough. They're probably not a 9-8 team, but this is the year you get it done or get off the pot. So over 7.5 wins. Zach.
Well, I've been having fun with you the last couple of weeks, telling you how great your team is, how I think they're going to win the division.
Just soften me up, fucker.
Well, yeah, it's fun to get someone excited about a crappy team.
Well, I mean, they're not great, but the
No.
division is trash.
But I think 8 wins is the ceiling.
Yeah.
And I honestly want Daniel Jones to succeed because he looks so good in some games, and then he can look god awful in others.
Yep. I'm with you, man. Kris.
I'm going to say this one
okay.
time. It's going to come down to Barkley and whether or not Saquon can carry a team early in a game versus just picking up garbage yards.
Yeah,
when it
that's a
doesn't
great
matter.
point. That's a great point. Kris.
This is the NFC League Pass team. Very fun. They're going to put up points. I think Daniel Jones will have a good year, but they ain't winning shit. They're winning like 5 games.
Yeah, that happens. That happens. He's done, and that means Delvin's done too. That's
they're
simple.
not. No, because if you see the marked improvement in the team, like the way they play and they're competitive in games, it doesn't mean they're not going to be competitive.
Kris, this is New
the
York.
wins aren't going to be. I don't think the seat is that hot on Joe Judge, and like.
Oh, not Joe Judge. It's on Gettleman. It's on Dave Gettleman more than anything else.
But even Dave
Yeah,
Gettleman,
but Dave
like,
Gettleman's
I don't
been
think,
great with his draft picks for 3 years now.
I think, like, they signed Kenny Galladay, like, they signed Kyle Rudolph, like, they got some good signings. They're going to surround him with talent. And, you know, they're able to, like, keep Leonard Williams and give him the deal that he wanted.
Right.
I like the team, but I just think that they're gonna be competitive. They're gonna be in games. You're gonna see that, like, okay, the Giants are doing something, but it's not gonna translate into wins. But you will see the improvement in the team. I'll put it to you that way.
All right. Next team
I
here.
think Kris is right on that.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see. Staying in New York, of course, the New York Jets last year went 2-14. The over-under number this year is 6 wins. They're still about a couple of years away from being a competitive team. I'm gonna go under here, of course. Zach?
Oh, I'm definitely taking the under. I don't think they win a single game in the division. So once you're 0-6 in the division, I don't think you have any hope of winning.
Right.
If they can get to 3 wins, it's a great year for them.
Wow. Kris?
When you talk about, there's a 0% chance they win a divisional game this year. I am super low on Zach Wilson, like super low. I think he was the worst quarterback in the class. So
I disagree with that.
I mean, he's looking decent now, but boy, anyone can look good in preseason. Obviously their biggest signing just blew out his Achilles. He's out for the year. Their other edge defender they signed is out for the year with a blood disorder. Like, they're just starting the year. They're just starting really bad. Like, their left tackle, who was just like saying, "Oh, Carl Lawson's making me better," this and the other, and he's out with a concussion. It's just everything's working against them right now. I don't think Corey Davis is worth the big money they gave him. Now, granted, I think the kid they drafted from Baylor last year is going to ball out this year, and he's going to turn into a good number 1 receiver. But I just don't see the team winning games or even being competitive, to be honest with you.
All right.
This is a bad team.
Oh, yeah. I agree 100%.
You're also going into it with a complete new coaching staff.
Yep.
That's the thing. Like, you're doubling down on top of it with the thing about it is, like, even when you have Robert Saleh there, you have 2 unproven coordinators. That's the issue. It's not like some of the guys that bring in, like, the good coordinators where you have, like, Dan Campbell, where Dan Campbell's at least bringing in Anthony Lynn with head coaching experience. You know, like, he's bringing fresh guys who've never done it before, and I don't see that working well year 1.
All right. Next team here, we have the Philadelphia Eagles, who last year went 4-11-1. Over-runner for them this year is 6.5. This is easy for me. They're the worst team in the division by far. I'm going to take under on this one. I am, however, even though I'm an Eagles hater, everybody knows this, I love Jalen Hurts. It's a good kid. So hopefully he does well. But that being said, under on the Eagles. Zach?
I would just like you to repeat about where they are in the division for me.
Worst team.
Yes, exactly. Could you say that again?
The worst team in the NFC least.
That is correct. And it is not the NFC least. They're just sucky. They are the only team that will not even be competitive. I like Jalen Hurts as a person. I loved him in college. The way he handled everything, awesome. He is not even on Lamar Jackson's level as a passer. I'm not even sure he's on Cam Newton's level as an actual passing quarterback. So, 3-4 wins, and it's a miracle.
All right. Kris?
See, unlike you guys, I think the Giants are probably the worst. I think win-wise, the Giants probably have the worst record in that division. But the Eagles are a bad team. I like the Nick Sirianni coaching hire. I think he's actually a young mind that knows what he's doing. But this is a fresh staff without any head coaching experience on the staff at all. But I like the moves they made in the offseason. Like, they got rid of all the overpriced veterans, and they're kind of building around what they have right now. I don't see the team being as bad as you guys make it out to seem. I love the Devontae Smith, draft pick. Unbelievable draft pick. And I definitely could see them winning some games, especially in the division.
No.
I could definitely see them. I could see them splitting with the entire division, to be honest with you.
Look, when your best chance at winning a game against a weak opponent, you're still on the road. Like, they're on the road against Carolina, on the road against Detroit, on the road against Denver, on the road against the Jets. Like, those should be easy wins, but you're still on the road. It's a bad schedule for them.
It is. The schedule's horrible for them, but you know what? I mean, I'm definitely going under, but I could see them easily winning 5 games, too, just like the Giants.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Next team here, staying in the same state of Pennsylvania, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Last year went 12-4. Remember, started 11-0 and then faded late in the year. Their over-under this year is 8.5. I feel like this team's kind of under the radar a little bit now. We talk about the AFC teams, but the Bills and the Browns and, obviously the Chiefs and all that. Steelers always been consistent, at least 9-10 wins a year. I don't know, under the radar a little bit. I'm taking the over in this one. Don't know how good they'll be overall, but I think they're still at least a 9-win team.
I'm with you. I think 9 wins is the max.
Oh.
And the one thing that's going to hold this team back, they're replacing their entire offensive line. And when you have a quarterback that is Ben's age, who is no longer mobile, now he can be a big boy, but when everyone's going to run through that line and nail him,
right.
How long he can hold up physically, I don't know. So I'm going to take the under just barely.
Kris?
Man, I never want to bet against Mike Tomlin.
Never.
I can't bet against Mike Tomlin. But you know how much I hate the Steelers. And
you're a Bengals fan. Of course you hate the Steelers.
Not only did they replace a lot of their offensive line, they're replacing a lot of their defensive backfield as well.
True.
I don't know what the whole thing with Juju and him coming back, he's not happy about his contract. I don't know. There's something weird about the team. I think granted, this is probably Ben's last year, period. But I think their Super Bowl window went out a long time ago, and I just feel like this is the year you start to see the slippage. And just there's not one factor on the team where I'm okay, at least they can lean on this. I don't see that. There's not one thing where I'm okay, at least they can lean on maybe their pass rush, you can say,
Yeah, but imagine if T.J. Watt
with
goes
T.J.
down.
Watt, but besides that, like Bud Dupree's gone. He's in Tennessee now. Like, there's not one single thing where I could say, at least they have this going for them. You know, like there's not one thing that I could say that. So to me, I see them as a middle road team, barely above the Bengals. Clearly at the bottom half of the division, not
Right.
like serious contenders. They're not making the playoffs.
Probably not.
100%
I mean, yeah, if you go under, then yeah. All right. Next
Do you
team.
guys think Juju is even an actual number one?
I don't know.
Yes.
You do, okay.
I
think he's just a good number two who benefited from AB.
Agreed.
When AB was one of the best in the league,
I agree.
if not the best.
I think he's a better effective number 2 guy, but he's a number 1 on this team right now.
Yeah, he's forced to be a number
better
one.
than
Yeah. All right. Next one here. We got a couple teams here. Let's get through this real quick. San Francisco 49ers, last year, tough season. I think, hold on, sorry, my thing went blank. I think they went 6-10 last year, right? Am I right? Yeah, 6-10 last year. Over-under this year is 10 wins. Again, this is a team that went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. A lot of people think this team will be back on the saddle again. I'm going to go push here. As long as they're healthy, of course. I mean, this team was 6-10 last year, but they were competitive. Given all the injuries they had last year, it's kind of amazing. But I think if all things equal, they'll be on the saddle again. I think they'll win 10 games, and as I said, I think all 14 will go to playoffs in the division. So this is that. Zach, go ahead.
Look, I'm probably the only person in America who thinks this team is going to be bad.
Oh, wow, okay.
I think they've destroyed Jimmy G's confidence, so he's no longer going to be a capable quarterback. And even if his confidence wasn't completely shredded, how many games is he going to play? 8, 9 games before he gets hurt? And I know everyone loves Trey Lance, but that's the guy who I think was the absolute worst draft pick of the 5 quarterbacks. And so far to me, I feel like he's shown that. He's had 2 good passes. 2. He has yet to even be able to complete 50% of his passes in the preseason against base defenses and backups. So when they want to talk about bringing in Trey Lance to replace Jimmy G, it ain't going to be this year unless you want to pick you in the top 5 of the draft. So their defense is slowly getting weaker because every year someone picks someone off. Their offensive line is getting frail. So you're counting on a tight end and a fullback for the most part as your offensive weapons.
Kris?
I just don't like them. I'm taking the under.
Okay. Kris, go ahead.
So I love the team. I love Kyle Shanahan as the head coach. I love the moves they made. Signing Alex Mack. Giving Trent Williams, who they traded for, a monster contract. You're shoring up the important parts of the team. Keeping your defensive backfield there. The one underrated thing I think people forget about is they're replacing both their coordinators this year. Especially with a guy like their defense coordinator this year is D'Amico Ryan. That man was just playing in the league like 4 years ago.
Yeah, that name's so familiar.
So to me, it's like, Kyle Shanahan's still a younger coach. I mean, he obviously it's in the genes. Like his dad was a coach for a gajillion years, but for him to still be a younger coach and then to have 2 super young guys under him is going to be interesting. As long as Jimmy G plays well and stays healthy, I say it's a push. But if he gets hurt and Trey Lance has to play, I think the bottom could fall out really fast. With Zack saying, I think that can happen really quickly. I think Trey Lance is significantly better than Zach Wilson, though. But I could definitely see this going 2 ways. They're either going to be really good or they're going to be really mediocre. Just based on what the quarterback situation.
Kris, do you see a Carson Wentz type act by Jimmy G, that feeling that threat, having your confidence checked like that?
No, I don't think so. I just think he knows that, like, because of his health, they had to make that move. I don't think, like, because you can tell by the way he's talking that he knows he's the starting quarterback. So I don't think that's an issue at all. And I think he knows that he's still the guy and that Trey Lance is at least 1 year. He, to me, seems like Alex Smith in Kansas City, where they still went to the play as a good team.
Yeah.
But he knew Mahomes was there.
Right.
But he still knew he was a starter that season. I think that is the way it is. Not more so like he's feeling the pressure. I think it's more like he knows he's going to be the mentor. He knows he's the starter, but that super talented guy is waiting in the wings, ready to go at any moment. But I don't think he feels threatened by that. So I think they can still play confidently. But if he gets hurt, it's a whole different story. It's too early for Trey Lance, and then the kind of wheels fall off because of how hard the division is.
So you're going under, right?
But I'm going to go thinking that they stay healthy. I'm going to go push. I think they win 10 games.
Like me. All right, cool. Next team here, we have the Seattle Seahawks, who last year went 12-4. Although I feel like a disappointing 12-4 last year, honestly. Their over-under number is 9.5. Now, I remember last year on the podcast, just doing the same podcast, that you, Kris, had said that last year is the tipping point with this team, that you can start seeing the wheels kind of coming off now a little bit, like draft picks and stuff and whatnot. That this team is definitely either win now or this could get ugly in the next year or two. Are you still in that same spot?
Of course. 100%. Especially like signing a guy like Josh Gordon, and obviously that didn't work, but like that just screams and reeks of like desperation.
Yeah.
Like there's some times where you feel like, okay, if Bill Belichick makes that move, you're like, okay, he's trying to see like getting Randy Moss or Peanuts, like that could work. But like to me, when Pete Carroll's doing it, I don't know. It just doesn't seem right. They're replacing their offensive coordinator. Now, granted, they're doing it from a divisional guy, which is cool because they're kind of weakening the Rams by stealing one of their younger coaches. But to me, I don't know. There's just something about the team and all those Russell rumors. Like, here's the thing. All those Russell rumors, like him going to Chicago and him going to the Giants and him going, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I just think, like, sooner or later, when the team's just not going the way they want it to go, like the season's not going the way they want it to go, all of a sudden, maybe he's the guy who gets traded halfway through the season because someone just comes through with that offer they can't refuse. And that's what happens. Like, there's just something to me that just screams like, they lost Shaq Griffin. Mm-hmm. Like, they're losing important players, and they're not getting back, like, any significant talent. Other than Jamal Adams, like, they made that deal, but they gave up a lot of capital and signed him to a monster contract. Like, I just don't see, like, other than DK Metcalf, I don't see, like, the young talent coming through and, like replacing the Legion of Boom. Like, with this new age, I don't see any of that at all for that team.
Yeah. Well, I went slightly over. I think I can still go. They still got Russell Wilson. So that alone gets you between 8 and 10 wins, depending on how things go.
Oh, they can win 9 wins easily, but I just don't see them going past 9 wins.
So
I can't see them winning more than that.
That's a big regression then. Is you going under? I'm going over. Zach, where are you going?
I'm going to take the under with Kris.
They
just keep losing things. And when I watch how this team has developed over the years, I almost want to see Russell Wilson make that change and become like Randall Cunningham was in Minnesota, where he stopped trying to run for his life and make every play, and he just tosses it away. Like, if Russell Wilson could just sit back in the pocket and go, okay, there's nothing here, let me just throw out of bounds, I think that would be better for the team in some instances. And when I look at their schedule, so many of their tough games early in the season are on the road. Now, if they can manage to pull them out, then yeah, they're definitely going to go over, because the back half of the season is littered with win after win after win, in my opinion. But 8 wins to me, 9 wins would be pushing it, and I don't even see 9 wins.
Wow. So based on your predictions and based on what happened with Russell Wilson in the offseason, quick answer, is this last year in Seattle?
No. That team, I don't think that team would be willing to trade him. I think that team would say, look, we're just not going to trade you. They would be almost like Houston. You need to suck it up. We just paid you a ton of money. If you want to leave, then you better play out your contract. And that's about it.
What you got on that, Kris? Do you agree with that?
But here's the thing. They have the oldest head coach in the league. When Pete Carroll hangs it up, what do you do with Russell? Do you think Russell just wants to stay there? I think they just move him and they move on in a complete different direction with the franchise.
Oh, yeah. If he were to hang it up, I think they tear down the whole team.
Yeah.
Well, Pete Carroll's the oldest coach in the league, like, by far. Like, what makes me think, like, that's not going to happen? Like, to me, like, I just don't see, like, the future for the team there. And at that point, I think there's enough quarterback-starving teams that want to make a big splash and will do whatever it takes to get their hands on him.
Well, they're one of the teams I'm more interested in looking at this year, so we'll see what happens there. All right, 3 more teams to go. Next one is the defending Super Bowl champions, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last year, finished the year 11-5. Their over/under is 11.5 this year. This is gonna be easy for me. To me, on paper, they're better than they were last year. They started off slow last season, and then once they caught fire middle of the year, that was it. It was a wrap. I'm gonna go over, obviously, on the Buccaneers 11.5. This should be pretty easy. Tom Brady, what more can you say? Zach?
Oh, I'm with you. I think they're competing with Kansas City for the most wins during the season. And I would say they probably go 15-2.
Jesus, really?
Yeah. Well, they start off with like cupcakes for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get any momentum, it's like, who's going to stop them once they have that momentum?
I agree with you. I agree. Kris?
I mean, just the last 3 of the year. They play Carolina, Jets, Carolina again. Last 3 games of the year. Like, their schedule is, I mean, they play the NFC East. Like, come on.
The division is worse, too.
They turn every single starter. And then you follow that up with having a super easy schedule on top of that compared to what they had last year. Way over. They probably had the most wins in the league this year. Now, granted, they still have the oldest guy in the league quarterback, and he's 1 injury away, and who knows what happens after that. But to me, if Tom Brady stays healthy as he has 90%, 99% of his career, how can you bet against them?
All right.
Even though over. Next.
All right, next team, 2 more teams to go here. Tennessee Titans last year were, hold on a second, on my phone. Sorry about that. Titans last year were, 11-5. Over-under this year is 9. They picked up Julio Jones from the Falcons. I don't know. I feel like this team is one of those teams where, like, they're a playoff team, but they have a ceiling. Their ceiling is probably, the wild card, maybe 1 win in the wild card round. That's it. I don't know. I feel like even with Julio Jones being there, I sense a little regression. Like, they might still be a playoff team, but I went push on this one. 9-8. Zach?
I'll take the over.
Okay.
But I think they only brought in Julio Jones for the playoffs. Because, quite honestly, that's all they really need him for. if they are on a trajectory for the playoffs, and you look at their last couple games at home against Miami and on the road to Houston, I don't think there's any way they start Julio in either of those games. They are so well balanced now with Brown and Jones at wide receiver. Their tight ends are unbelievable because you have to bring 8 guys up in the box to stop Derrick Henry, so tight end can run by any linebacker. It's just their offense is built for it. Their only question is, will they finally have a pass rush? If they have a pass rush, they would be a team that could actually compete against Kansas City.
Yeah, I agree.
But right now, they're lacking at that.
If they get to the playoffs and they're healthy, yeah, the way they play football definitely is kind of like the Cleveland Browns. Like they can slow the game down, keep Mahomes off the field with Derrick Henry. But again, it's a trust thing. Like this when you start believing in this team, like they just do the other thing, So I don't know. I think they're a good team. I think they could be really good if they hit the playoffs. They'd be very dangerous. Kris, go ahead.
They're going to score points. I think the only thing holding this team back was the fact that they not only lost Arthur Smith, but Arthur Smith took Dean Pease with him. So now Mike Vrabel is replacing both his coordinators. And the scary thing to me is instead of looking outward, he just promoted within, which means he's kind of feeling himself. Here's the issue. If they ball out this year, it solidifies him as not only a great football mind, but a fantastic coach and a guy that can actually funnel his own talent. But it kind of scares me sometimes when his first move is just to promote within for both positions, because then it's like, man, do you not feel like anyone's outside opinions really matter? But they decided to take a different route. Like, they literally replaced their entire defensive backfield, like literally every single position in defensive backfield almost, except for one safety. Like, it's crazy to me. But they signed Bud Dupree to a big contract, and they're doubling down on playing, like, they're looking to play, like, they're going to score early, and then they're going to sort of rush the passer and get after you. They're kind of setting up, to me, kind of like those Peyton Manning teams where they had good offense, and then they had Dwight Freeney and Robert Matt on the other side to kind of close out the games. And that's what the team kind of reminds me of, is like that type of team. Except obviously they're more run heavy. But with A.J. Brown and Julio Jones there and Ryan Tannehill kind of finding his home, but we'll see how much Arthur Smith really did for that team. It'll be interesting to see that. The only thing that scares me is Mike Vrabel not looking outward to replace his, like, to 2 coordinators he lost and just hiring within. It means, like, he just really has confidence in himself, and we'll see what happens. I'm high. I'm going over. I think they easily win that division. I think they're going to I think they're going to show the Colts that they are in the AFC South.
All right, I like that. Okay, and finally, last team, of course, is Zachary's team, is the Washington, not Redskins, Washington football team. Last year, they won the division at 7-9. This year, their over-under number is, as I told you guys off the air, that it feels inflated. 8.5 wins for the Washington football team. I think I went under this one, didn't I? Hold on. Make sure.
You better if you said they're
inflated. I did go under. Yeah, I went under. I mean, you got Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's, good for one every, 3 or 4 games. I will say their defense, though, will keep this season interesting for them. But I went under. I guess, Kris, go first before Zach rants off his team. Go first, Kris.
I wish they would have brought in Ryan Fitzpatrick as a mentor instead of a guy who's hanging on to every last little bit he has left. If they were just to establish that he was the backup, I would feel better about them. I feel like Ron Rivera, like, he brings in his young guy, Kyle Allen, from Carolina with him. And then all of a sudden Tyler Hanke comes in and shows something. And you're like, oh, well, maybe there's future here.
Yeah.
And then, like, it stunts all that growth by bringing a guy like Fitzy in without establishing that he's just there to show him the ropes. He's not coming in to be Brock Heward and Damon Heward, where, like, they're going to mentor, show these young guys how to watch tape and do it. He's coming in to win the job and his last hoorah as a starting quarterback for a team that has this is the best team in the NFC East.
Maybe.
Like, Dallas has a lot of flashy players on offense, but this is the best overall team. And then, I love the Lamar Miller signing. I love the Curtis Samuel signing as, like, weapons. You get William Jackson III, the best defensive player on Cincy. It still pains me that they got him. They're doubling down. You franchise Brandon Scherf. They solidified a team. I just don't like the direction that Ron Rivera went with the quarterback situation. I really wish they would have established, Kyle Allen and Tyler Heineke. Like, you get one of them, you say, okay, one of these young guys will be our starter, and then Ron Fitzpatrick's here to show them the way. And now you just have, like, this three-way jumbled up mess at a quarterback competition where, like, no one's going to receive enough reps to, like, take the next step. That's in my eyes. That's how it looks like. But I still think they're going to win the division with, like, an 8-9 record. Like, that no one's going to be over, like, 500 over in that division. That division is trash.
All right, Zach, the floor is yours. You're Washington former Redskins, now football team.
So, first, let me agree with a couple things Kris said.
Okay.
One, they are the best team in the division. So, when you say they're the best team in the division, you think 5-1, maybe they lose one game in the division. Then, they get so lucky as to play the NFC South. Which, hey, other than Tampa, every other team is in turmoil and chaos. So, let's say 8-2. Already, we are 8-2. Now, let me remind you.
I like where this is going.
We had nothing at quarterback. Absolutely nothing. We had a guy afraid to even step back on his injured leg, and he could still win with my team. So I don't care if it's Fitztragic, Duck Hodges, or me at quarterback. Not only will we win the division, we will at least beat the 8.5 wins. That's the start. I got two names for you guys to think about. Trent Dilfer and Brad Johnson. Those guys were straight trash at quarterback. And you know what they did? They rode a defense to a Super Bowl. So to think my team could possibly win 10 or 11 games with a guy who could win a football game in Miami, I feel really damn good about our chances. Like, no one should think that the Redskins are going to lose this division. Nobody. Dallas fans, I'm sorry. Your team sucks on defense. You're going to put up 30 points, and guess what? The Jets would put 50 on you. Y'all are that bad. The Eagles,
God.
man, you better hope Jalen Hurts doesn't pull a hamstring because he's the only one who can do jack squat on your team. That's it. Nothing. Eagles, horrible. Number 2 or 3 pick in the draft this coming year. The Giants, that is their closest competition. Closest. So when you sit in a division where you know you're 5-1, all you got is confidence. Everybody will be playing with confidence. So put me in. I'm going to wear jersey number 17, and we're going to win 11 games. Put Fitzmagic in. Fitztragic, I don't care. He's going to win 12. Mark my word, we win at least 12 games this
Holy
year.
shit, you are so fucking demented right now with this. But it's your team.
I will say this.
My defense is
Landon
going to win at least half the games on the season by outscoring their opponent.
Which we're on
That's
video.
how
Roll
good
my
my defense is.
The defense is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they have by far, and there's no competition with this. They have by far the best defensive line in the league, and it's not even close. And they have playmakers, this secondary. Landon Collins is an absolute stud. But the one thing I will say is, I think two things. Antonio Gibson was literally playing wide receiver in college, and he tore it up as first year at the position, tore it up as a running back. So there's only the sky's the limit for him. And number two, Scary Terry is going to be the next DeAndre Hopkins as in terms of like, I don't give a fuck who you put back there. He's going to put up his numbers no matter who's throwing him the ball because he's that good.
And see,
overall,
I actually think he's going to be the number 2 wide receiver. Samuel's going to take over on that team. I think Samuel is better.
No. But the one thing I will say is the only reason why I don't think they can crack 10 wins is because of the way the quarterback situation is. And I don't think Ron Rivera is handling it properly. He's always been like I'm all about the wins, whatever is best for the team I'm going to do. And that's cool and all, but when you're thinking long term, you're damaging these young players by doing that.
Kris,
I wish they brought in someone who would help them grow and nurture these young guys instead of a guy that wants their job and thinks he still has something left in the tank. But that defense is so good that there's no way they're going to lose the division. There's no way they're not the best team in this division. And that's sad because I still pick them to go under 8.5 wins. Or 9.5. What is 8.5? I'm going
we won the division last year with a guy who was praying to be the backup in Pittsburgh. We won that division with a third stringer who will be our third stringer this year. We won that division with a cripple last year.
I think Fitzpatrick's a backup. Heineke's a backup. Kyle Allen's been a career backup. Like, they just have a bunch of backup quarterbacks without like focus as to like where they're going with the future.
Out of all those most competent backups, it's Fitzpatrick. They're all backup, but he's the most competent, right? And we won with backups last year. We won a division, and we were the only team that even held Tampa Bay in check in the playoffs.
That's true. Good argument. Well, we'll see what happens.
The defense is just on.
Defense
is lights out, and the defense.
Right.
The crazy thing is the defense got better than it was last year, and that's insane.
That
the
is
only
insane.
thing they have going for them is the fact that they have the best defense, and they can hang their hat on that. They're elite at one side of the ball. And you can't even say that about, like, anyone else in the division. Maybe the Cowboys, you could say that on offense, but even them, you can't really even say that anymore because Dak's coming off a terrible injury. Like, the motherfucker's ankle was at a 90-degree angle.
Right.
Like, if I'm taking something, I'm going to take the defensive side of Washington. They're going to win the division.
Right.
But I just don't. There's just something missing about that team with the way they're handling the quarterback situation that I don't like. That's going to like stall them. I don't see their team being good enough to do like Zack. Not like the 2000 Ravens. I don't know if they're that good.
All right, quickly before we go, I gotta wrap it up. Quickly, your Super Bowl prediction and winner. Go, Kris. First, you go.
Oh, KC and that NFC is so tough. Oh my God, I really don't. I don't want to say KC Tampa Bay. Oh my God, I will go KC Tampa Bay with KC avenging the victory, the loss.
That's me also. KC and Tampa Bay as well. KC actually winning it this time around. Zack, what you got?
I got KC beating the Rams.
That's my other teams I'm looking at. But I don't know, man. The fucking Bucks look better this year.
It'd be like there's 4 teams. I think it's Kansas City, the Chargers, and the Rams and Bucks. I think that those are the 4 teams.
Right.
I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers, but hey, next year you'll be on a new team. Probably the Redskins.
All right, guys, I gotta wrap it up. I gotta record my other podcast. Kris, Zach, thank you so much. We'll be back in a couple of weeks to do the NBA over-unders once we get close to that season. Right? As always.
All right.
All right, guys, take it easy, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right, bud. Later, buddy.